This morning's class has just been wonderful. I cannot recommend this place highly enough. The teacher, Amanda, is fantastic. What we're making is gorgeous. I'll show you that when I'm finished. And it has just been a perfect day. In this activity, I challenged myself to learn how to work with leather. I've always loved leather as a fabric, but never made anything with it. However, I do a lot of other craft activities that can be messy or where I need protective clothing, such as working with glass. So I thought it would be good to combine learning how to work with leather and, at the same time, make something practical, such as a leather apron. The city where I live is the capital of the Australian Capital Territory. While the ACT covers an area of 2,370 square kilometres, Canberra only occupies about a third of that land, so it's surprising that there is only one rural town in the rest of the ACT region. With a magnificent old bridge over the Murrumbidgee River, about a dozen houses, a general store and a post office, the village of Tharwa caters to a rural catchment big enough for the tiny town to also have a preschool and a primary school. And because it lies on a challenging rural road favoured by motorcyclists, Tharwa's general store is a popular place for them to stop for coffee, especially when the weather is good for riding. Just south of the town lies a collection of buildings that for many years has been the focus of the ACT arts and craft community. Among these buildings is Tharwa Valley Forge, a unique business that specialises in teaching the ancient arts of bladesmithing, blacksmithing and leatherwork. As well as 3 different forges, there's a machine room and a grinding room. Tharwa Valley Forge runs a comprehensive set of training courses ranging from a 3-hour knife sharpening class to week-long workshops in blacksmithing, knife making and leatherworking. Tharwa Valley Forge was founded in 2003 by Karim Haddad, who began making knives 30 years ago and who manages the business on a day-to-day basis. The business is spread over 2 campuses, at the original forge at 11 Nace Road and at the historical rural property of Kapakumbalong at 21 Nace Road. Accommodation is available at Kapakumbalong for course participants who travel from interstate. Tharwa Valley Forge has a dedicated leatherwork studio on the Kapakumbalong campus set up for a maximum of 5 students. The workshop I attended was a 1-day course from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Our teacher was very knowledgeable and enthusiastic and made the day both educational and fun. After a studio introduction and a short orientation tour of the campus, we were led into the leather storage vault, where we spent time deliberating on just which leather to choose for our aprons, though it wasn't long before I discovered the perfect piece for mine. Back in the studio, we set about calculating the exact width and length to cut our apron so that it would fit perfectly. A key feature of the workshop was that the aprons would not only be made by us, but that they'd be tailored perfectly to our particular shape and size. The next task was to cut D-ring tabs and straps for the apron. There were several large tubs of leather scraps available to choose from, but we were able to use any other leather from the storeroom if we wanted. Being a person who loves colour, I selected a dark blue leather for the tabs, though I stayed with the burnt orange leather for the straps. the length of which were measured in a fitting done by our teacher. We had a deadline of 11:30 a.m. to finish this part of the workshop, and I naively wondered why so early.
That's why women get married in white.
I never heard that one.
Never heard that one.
Okay.
I've never heard it.
Really?
Actually, kitchen appliances come in black or
They do now, they didn't in the old
grey.
days.
Oh no. Once the tabs and straps had been riveted to our aprons, we were faced with the more daunting task of deciding on the particular pockets and other embellishments that we might want added to our aprons to make them more fit for purpose. And it was only when I started to look at the many possibilities that I realised what the majority of our time would be spent doing, punching holes and stitching leather pieces onto our aprons. Unlike the 4 men in the group, who each had a specific purpose for their apron in mind and therefore had a fair idea of what pockets they wanted, I didn't have a clue. Fortunately, there was a heap of pattern pieces to get ideas from, and after a fair while dithering, I opted to add one large piece of leather across the middle that would provide a small pocket at the top and a large pocket on either side to stick my hands in. There was a 3-stage process to be followed in adding the pocket. The first step was to punch holes into the pocket leather using a pre-cut template. The second step was to stick the pocket leather onto the apron and punch the holes again, this time through the apron leather. And the third step was to stitch the pocket leather onto the apron. I did the stitching in 2 phases, down the middle line to start with, then, after adding rivets to the corners, stitching the 2 sides, with the entire process taking nearly 3 hours to complete. I then added a rag ring to the right-hand side and a band of pen holders to the top. This was quite a fiddly process, with 7 little lines to be punched and stitched, and by the time I'd finished, it was quite late in the afternoon. the other 4 in the group, I was immensely happy with my apron and proud of my leatherwork achievement. I drove home wondering what leather project I'd take on next. Maybe another 1-day course to make a custom leather hat, or even a 5-day course to make myself a pair of stunning leather boots. The leather apron course at Thawa Valley Forge cost $500. I picked up a McDonald's coffee on the way for $5.35, and I brought my own food for lunch. Join me for my next great adventure when I travel into the Australian outback to visit a World Heritage archaeological site and investigate the mystery of the couple known as Mungo Lady and Mungo Man. For more information about living your own unlived life, if you go to my website, you can download a copy of my free book, Living Your Unlived Life, Finding Contentment by Honouring Your Dreams. And if it's your thing, you could like this video and subscribe to my channel.